Good day, this is George McCaslin. I am the online moderator for the Dad's House Educational Group. Today we will be reviewing the article on child support and payroll attachments in the Dad's House Manual.
Don't owe back child support. I'm told I owe back child support, and it's garnished from my paycheck every week, so I have no say in the matter. Now the state wants to take my tax return and give it to my ex. I've tried to call child support, and I get nowhere. I'm running out of time to file my taxes. I need some advice fast. Anyone have any ideas? Thank you.
Child support payroll attachments, when being current, is not current. Under the Child Support Enforcement Act of 1988, all child support owed by salaried employees were to be placed under a payroll attachment to address a perceived problem of non-payments, which was based simply on telephone interviews with mothers owed child support. The presumption was that they would not fib about such an important matter. However, the poor accounting habits of the states made this all-inclusive remedy nearly impossible. Payments were not being posted to the right case numbers and or not posted at all. It was not until nearly the turn of the century, as computer technology grew, before this could be widely applied. However, in the last 10 years, as a growing number of child support cases are being placed on payroll attachment, this has created a whole new set of problems. When a child support obligor or payer is under a weekly or bi-weekly payroll attachment for child support, he may not know that for 8 months out of the year he is in arrears. This can result in an unexpected attachment to a tax return with up to 20% in interest penalties. Or worse, after years of paying and the children are aging out from under child support, you suddenly learn you are tens of thousands of dollars in arrears with more than a decade to go to continue paying. The problem that arises is both in the way employers are calculating payroll attachments and how the computers at the Child Support Enforcement Agency are registering each received payment. Employers want to take the attachment and send a check right away, so they take what is ordered for each month and determine the total for the year. From that total, they divide it by 52 or 26, depending on their payroll setup. As an example, we will use a support payment amount of $500 per month for a yearly total of $6,000. There are an average of 4.25 weeks per month. This means that for 8 months, a person gets 4 weekly or 2 bi-weekly paychecks. But for the other 4 months, there are 5 weekly or 3 bi-weekly paychecks. The employer is deducting $115.39 from a weekly paycheck or $230.78 from a biweekly paycheck and mailing those payments in. This means that a total of $461.56 a month is sent in for 8 months of the year, while the other 4 months the payments total $576.95 due to the extra paycheck in those months. Unfortunately, the state computers processing the payments see them as totaling $461.56 for a month as an underpayment of $38.44. However, rather than a balancing of the account for the year when receiving the $576.95, those are treated as an overpayment or gift of $76.95 to the other parent. At the end of the year, this leaves a balance owing of $307.52, which then triggers an interest penalty. The interest penalty can run from 3% to 20%, depending on the state. Using Wisconsin as an example, with an 8.2% penalty, there can be an attachment to the tax return of $332.73. However, consider if the state simply accumulates the amount over the period of the child support order. For Wisconsin, over a 10-year period, the total owed would be $3,075 with an interest penalty of $2,745 for a grand total owing of $5,820. Nearly another year of child support payments. For a man paying as a result of a one-night stand over an 18-year time period and not accounting for adjustments, the accumulated amount owed would be $5,535, with an interest penalty of $8,927, for a grand total of $14,462 still owed, or in other words, more than 1 year in payments, which still will be collecting interest. Add to this the fact that with 4 months per year, there was an overpayment of $76.95. By the time that $14,462 is paid off, there will be a total overpayment exceeding $20,000, equaling over 3 more years of additional child support. For a child support obligor ordered to pay $1,000 a month, including interest penalties, the final balance owing would be over $36,000. Employers do not look favorably on make and payroll attachments of varying amounts, as it can create an accounting nightmare. As such, a method must be determined to address this issue. The simplest would be an adjustment to the programming of the computers processing the child support payments. However, in this economy, the states will not be willing to pay for a programming change. That leaves 2 options. Have your employer deduct 25% of the payment from each weekly paycheck or 50% of the payment from each biweekly paycheck. This will result in a yearly overpayment, but that can be addressed whenever there is a motion to modify the payment, either up or down, such as a result of a layoff. Note, though, that every 3 years there is an automatic review of the case by the state that is required by federal law. A second option would be to request the employer to deduct a full child support payment out of 1 payroll check per month, though that may not be possible if the payment exceeds the amount of 1 check. In the long term, it should be demanded that child support enforcement correct the problem in the software that processes the payments. Toward this end, we should be writing letters. Fathers are a frequent target of the media and politicians in citing what's wrong with America. They blame us for fatherless children, even though 40% of divorced and single mothers deny the fathers access to their children. They call us deadbeat dads, even though only 3% of those ordered to pay child support refuse to, and many of them are mothers. They claim that millions of single mothers are not getting child support, without mentioning that 75% of single mothers never applied for any, either due to them cohabiting with the father or not knowing who the father is. Aside from addressing this problem with child support attachments, if we are to curb the negative picture presented about fathers, then fathers need to be expressing their opinions on it. You could be doing that by writing letters, not emails, to your politicians and to the editorial letter page of your local and national newspapers. These links below will teach you how to do just that, so consider doing it at least once a month. We cannot make our voices heard if we are not willing to speak up. Consider checking out the Zazu stores or Dad's House and Second Wife Club for items to give as gifts or to express your opinion on father's rights. First, we have the main Dad's House store with items of appreciation for fathers. From there, we have the Second Wife Club, also for items of appreciation that you would want to give to a stepmother. Then we have the Father's Rights page, which are items for expressing one's opinion on the father's rights issues. And finally, the Other Face of Abuse store, addressing the issues of male victims of domestic violence. There's much more available in the Dad's House Educational Manual. Take the time to study all the material we have available in the manual, for only through knowledge do we gain power over our lives. Naturally, this material is available for anyone to use regardless of what group you are a member of, if any group. But if you have not already done so, consider joining Dad's House to discuss these issues with other fathers and learn from each other's experiences. There is no cost to join and use our materials. Also check out our sister group, the Second Wife Club for Stepmothers.